Part 3. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 21. Chapter 21 Lightning strikes wood. Who moved the monk's body and placed it in the church crypt is not mentioned. After being struck by thunder, a piece of wood can be suppressed, which is equivalent to the black and stiff wood in the late innate stage. It is at least a high-grade Dongzhen, or even a top-grade spiritual material. Dongzhen's top-grade spiritual materials can be used to refine top-grade magic weapons. Dongzhen's top-grade spiritual materials can be used to refine top-grade magic weapons. If they are cultivated well, they will become spiritual weapons in the future. Many golden elixir stage monks are using high-grade or top-grade magic weapons. As for spiritual weapons, except for the heads of some major sects or individual golden elixir masters, they are almost invisible. After thinking about this clearly, Su Junming's heart suddenly became hot. Especially in the past few days, his heart was itching to be stirred up by Uncle Ju's de yang grass. His resistance to the temptation of a truly top-grade spiritual material was almost zero. A good magic weapon can greatly enhance the practitioner's strength. If he could have a high-grade magic weapon now, he wouldn't be afraid of even a half-step armored corpse, let alone a late-stage innate black zombie. But that black zombie. After hesitating for a moment, the temptation was too great after all. Fight. Even if you can't defeat it, you can still run away with the 4 elephants' evil killing formation. And it's broad daylight now, so he may not come out. After making up his mind, Su Junming opened the door and walked out. The house was quiet. Uncle Ju, Axing and Xiaoyu were not there, and they didn't know what they were doing. After coming out, he locked the courtyard door, and Su Junming turned left and walked toward the church. Uncle Ju's dojo is not far from the church, just walk 2 intersections and you'll get there. Because he had been here more than once, Su Junming was no stranger to the structure of the church. Due to the rainy day and the death of someone just the day before yesterday, the front of the church, which was once crowded with people, has now become deserted. Except for a few beggars waiting in front of the church to beg for food, there were almost no pedestrians. But in order to avoid being noticed, Su Junming went around to the back of the church first. There are some trees planted here to cover the tracks, and there is a back door leading to the interior of the church. Su Junming did not go in immediately, but jumped up with his feet, grabbed the eaves with his left hand, turned over and jumped onto the roof. The structure of the church is in the shape of a pin. The 2 sides are relatively low, and the spire in the middle is the highest, about 10 meters above the ground. Looking up, Su Junming was too lazy to climb. Stretching out his left hand, a white light shot up into the sky and circled around the spire. Su Junming's heart moved, and the rope that bound the corpse shortened instantly, and at the same time he flew up. When he landed on the top of the spire, the entire Jiquan town was in view, but at the moment he had no time to appreciate this rare view. The moment he came up, his eyes were completely attracted to the broken wood on the top of the church. With his spiritual consciousness extended, Su Junming was instantly overjoyed. He clearly sensed the strong thunderous aura on the broken wood. Almost subconsciously, he reached out and pulled out the broken wood from the earth and rocks. Wrong. Su Junming's expression changed. Although he has never seen Dongzhen's top-grade lightning strike wood, he has seen Dongzhen's middle-grade earth-sun grass. Although the thunder on this broken tree is strong, its concentration is much lower than the pure yang qi on the earth-sun grass, and it is obviously not up to the high-grade level. He looked at the piece of wood in his hand, which was about 4 feet long, 1.5 feet wide, and 1 foot thick, all black. Could it be that in the past 10 years, without being nurtured by spiritual energy, the grade has fallen? After thinking for a while, he shook his head. Generally, naturally created spiritual objects can be preserved for a long time without being refined. Although 10 years is a long time, it is not enough for a top-grade spiritual item to drop. The most appropriate explanation is that this piece of wood was a medium-grade piece of wood from the beginning, not a top-grade one. But if this is the case, how can a piece of spiritual object that has not undergone sacrificial training as a middle-grade Dongzhen suppress the innate black stiffness in the late stage? Su Junming couldn't figure it out. His ears moved and his face changed slightly. Holding the wood in his right hand, he waved his left hand, and the corpse rope passed through the air and stretched into the crown of a locust tree not far away. With the help of this, Su Junming's figure flew in like lightning. After he disappeared, the gray-haired Mediterranean Father Wu climbed up from below. After looking around, he frowned slightly. No one. Father, I don't see any damage on the roof. A young monk who followed up checked the back of the roof. As long as it's not broken, it rains a lot these days, so don't let the church get wet. Father Wu has a kind smile on his face, which makes people feel trustworthy and close to him at first sight. The young monk nodded, checked it again, and climbed down the ladder. Father Wu looked at the missing piece of the spire, and an inexplicable look flashed across his face. He stood quietly for a while, took one last look around, and then turned around. Su Junming, who saw everything in his eyes, knew very well that Father Wu came up not to check whether the roof was leaking, but because he was aware of his presence. He still remembered that although this man's body was old and his energy and blood were weak, his mental power was so strong that he was shocked. It seems that it is not easy to get the remaining half of the cross, Su Junming thought to himself. Strictly speaking, his behavior is called stealing, so not only must he deal with the black zombie, but he must also be wary of Father Wu. To deal with Hei's Hung, strength speaks for itself. But Father Wu cannot use strong tactics, at least not now. Fortunately, it was not all without gain. After swaying the black wood in his hand, Su Junming turned around and returned to Jushu Dojo. Go to your room and close the door. Mirror reflections appeared in his eyes, and everything in the black wood came into his heart in an instant. Being able to withstand the thunder without being destroyed, this piece of wood is obviously not a mortal thing. The fine texture is better than the century-old peach wood that Taoist priest Four Eyes gave him to use to practice the talismans. After being tempered by the heavenly thunder, it was even rarer to get 3 points. With a slap on the deerskin bag on his waist, the demon-slaying talisman contained inside flew out and turned into a sword shadow, cutting off the carbonized part of the outside of the wood. These areas that have lost their activity are useless for refining weapons. However, Su Junming did not throw it away, but carefully collected it. The charcoal made from these spiritual materials is the best fuel for alchemy. One tael is worth 2 huanjidan. If it is charcoal made from a medium-grade spiritual material, one tael is worth 20 huanjidan, which is 10 times more. Su Junming took a big bag and put all the cut charcoal in it. He put it together with the bag containing century-old peach wood chips. Nothing in the spiritual material can be wasted. After almost cutting it, Su Junming was left with a long piece of wood that was 2 feet and 3 inches long and about the thickness of a child's wrist. It was dark yellow with purple threads hidden in it. With a flick of his finger, a ray of cyan mana penetrated the wooden bar, and a cracking purple electric arc instantly jumped on the surface of the wooden bar. Although half a foot away, a slight tingling sensation emerged from the bottom of Su Junming's heart. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 22. Chapter 22 Chunyangbagwa. Okay, it's really a good thing. Su Junming was excited. Although this lightning strike wood has not been maintained for a long time, its quality can barely be classified as Dongjinzenzong. But if you practice carefully, you will have a high probability of producing a mid-grade magic weapon. And this lightning strike wood is especially suitable for practicing magic swords. It's just that I don't know how to use thunder. If I use the demon-slaying talisman or the golden light talisman to practice, I won't be able to exert the maximum power of this lightning strike wood. Su Junming frowned. Do we have to wait until Mission becomes a disciple and learns the thunder method? He is used to turning his harvest into his own strength as soon as possible, instead of making a wedding dress for others one day. Maybe Uncle Ju knows. Temporarily use mana to warm up the lightning strike wood and put it away. Su Junming opened the door and left the house. Arrive in front of the main room. Uncle, are you here? It's Junming, come in. Uncle Ju put down his talisman pen and put aside the demon-slaying talisman he had drawn. He turned to look at the tall nephew who was approaching. Is something wrong? Uncle, do you know the thunder method? Lefa. She glanced at him in surprise. You want to learn? Yes. The thunder method is the most overbearing method among all the methods. It is difficult to control, the cultivation level is not enough, and it can hurt others and yourself. Therefore, according to the mission sect rules, non-inner disciples are not allowed to practice it. Uncle, my disciple has already entered the Xiantian. He only needs to receive the seal to become a disciple of the inner sect of Mission Mountain. He is already qualified to practice the thunder method. Having said that, you have already practiced the Shenda Zhenju, and now you are studying the Pure Yang Way and the Formation Way. If you learn the thunder method again, what you have learned will be too complicated and will not be helpful to your practice. Seeing Su Junming still wanting to speak, Uncle Ju couldn't bear that his talented nephew would go astray, so he spoke seriously. Junming, the first step in practicing Taoism is cultivation. Taoism is just a way to protect the Tao. It is enough to specialize in one or two disciplines. If you put the cart before the horse, it will be a disaster rather than a blessing. Seeing Uncle Ju's "I'm good for you" look, Su Junming felt helpless. With the bronze mirror around, understanding Taoism is not difficult for him. But looking at Uncle Ju's expression, it was obvious that he didn't intend to tell him how to practice thunder. It would offend this powerful uncle, so he couldn't ask any more questions. My uncle's enlightenment words, my nephew will keep them in mind. From now on, I will focus on practicing the way of Shenda and Chunyang. However, it will take a long time to receive the seal in Luofu Mountain, which will delay my practice. I hope my uncle can teach it the method of practicing the Golden Light Bagua. He had asked Uncle Ju about the method of practicing the Golden Light Bagua before, but he had never been taught it. Originally, I planned that after you received the seal in Luofu Mountain, you would receive the cultivation method from the elder who taught the Dharma. However, you might not be able to get it after asking for it, and you would go astray. I will pass it on to you today. Uncle Ju thought for a moment and said, "Thank you, Uncle." Su Junming was overjoyed. With the Golden Light Bagua taught by Uncle Ju, after Mission receives the seal in the future, he will be able to choose the lightning thunder fist that he has been demanding for a long time. He nodded and motioned for Su Junming to sit down. The Golden Light Bagua is also known as the Pure Yang Bagua. The Bagua is just a form, and it is basically the Pure Yang Dao. Of course, if you have a profound understanding of the Bagua formation, then the combination of the two will give you the power of the Chunyang Bagua. It will also increase significantly. Uncle, let's put it this way. The Golden Light Bagua can also be called the 4 symbols of golden light and the 5 elements of golden light. You can teach, that's right. There are 3 major Chunyang Taoist methods in the world of cultivation. One is the Chunyang Bagua of our Mission Southern sect, the other is the Chunyang Sword Art of the Northern Chunyang sect, and the Long Hushan sect's Chunyang Sword Art, the One Chi Pure Yang Sutra. Because over the past dynasties, Mission Nanzong has used the Bagua method to condense pure Yang mana to subjugate demons and make talismans and weapons. Therefore, it has accumulated the most experience and usage, and it is also the easiest to practice. If you plan to use the Pure Yang method combining Tao with your 4 symbols method, you can cultivate the 4 symbols of Pure Yang. I'm afraid it will take more than 10 times the effort, but a wise man won't do it, Uncle Ju suggested. Thank you, Master, for telling me. I understand, Su Junming nodded and said. It's up to you to weigh the choice, so I won't go into details. As for the specific method of practice, just raise your head. Su Junming, who had experienced the Shen de Zhenju taught by Four Eyes, happily put his head over it. Uncle Ju's right palm flashed with a faint spiritual light, and he slapped Su Junming's forehead. In an instant, a stream of spiritual consciousness came into his mind, and in the blink of an eye it turned into a large piece of text, as well as white, blue, red, orange, from simple to complex, 4 huge talismans. Each talisman is surrounded by text, but the number becomes smaller toward the back. Especially around the orange talisman, there are only a few hundred words. Su Junming glanced at the last orange talisman, but for a moment, a strong feeling of dizziness suddenly hit his heart. His face turned pale, knowing that he was not in the realm yet, so he didn't dare to look any further. Looking up at Uncle Ju's rather gloating eyes, it was obvious that he had expected this. Every Taoist method is profound and profound. If you understand it deeply, just one method is enough. There is really no need to be greedy for more. Compared with Taoist priest Four Eyes who only passed on the white fundamental talisman of the Shen de Zhenju to Su Junming, Uncle Ju directly passed on the 4 fundamental talismans of the Golden Light Bagua and the extended spells to him. Obviously let him understand that Taoism is profound, and stop being greedy for thunder. Yes, disciple understands. Okay, I've already taught you everything that should be taught to you. Go back and understand it yourself. If you don't understand anything, ask me again. Su Junming nodded and stood up to leave. Looking at his back, Uncle Ju sighed slightly. My 2 apprentices really didn't live up to expectations, and now I only rely on this talented nephew to pass on my Taoism. Back in his room, Su Junming sat cross-legged on the bed. His understanding of the Golden Light Talisman has long reached the peak of the White Talisman. Now that he has obtained the 4 fundamental talismans of the Golden Light Bagua, it paves the way for him to practice Chunyang Taoism. The bronze mirror's aura flickered, and Su Junming's understanding greatly increased. When he looked at the blue root talisman left by his Uncle Ju in the sea of consciousness, he felt that countless new insights about Chunyang Taoism came to his mind. This kind of enlightenment-like feeling is so much better than the blind man feeling the elephant before and realizing it on his own without any clue. I don't know how long it took, but a knock on the door disturbed Su Junming's wandering consciousness. Senior brother Junming, are you there? Su Junming woke up from his trance, looked inside his dantian, and sighed in his heart as he looked at the golden talisman that had turned into light blue. In just a few hours, his understanding of the Golden Light Talisman surpassed that of the demon-slaying talisman that he originally understood the most. This shows how important the completed inheritance is to spiritual practice. He got up and got out of bed, and opened the door with a creak. Xiao Yu, is something wrong? Master is looking for you. Uncle. Glancing at the main room, the lights were already on. What happened? No. Su Junming nodded, turned around and walked towards the main room. Seeing him leaving, Xiao Yu went to her room to change into beautiful clothes and walked out of the house quietly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 23. Chapter 23 God-given opportunity. Call. Seeing that the master didn't notice, Xiao Yu patted her already sizable chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Junior sister, where are you going? The sudden sound startled her instantly. She didn't need to look at him to know that the other person was her hateful senior brother. Master said we were not allowed to go out at night, but you openly violated the master's decision. Be careful what I tell the master. Xiao Yu panicked, but when she saw Ah Sing in a suit and leather shoes, An idea flashed in her mind. With her hands behind her back, she walked around him a few times. The playful look in her eyes made Ah Sing's heart tremble. After a quick look, there was nothing strange about him. "What are you looking at?" "Senior brother, it's so dark now and you're dressed like this, are you going to see Annie?" Ah Sing, who was told the central issue, showed a trace of panic on his face. "No, don't talk nonsense." "Nonsense? If I'm talking nonsense, why do you smell like Annie's powder?" "How is that possible? I just touched her hand." Before he finished speaking, Ah Sing suddenly stopped when he realized that he had been fooled, but it was already too late. "Aha, senior brother. If the master knows that you are obsessed with women, he will definitely break your legs." Axing felt anxious and quickly grabbed Xiaoyu's arm. "Good junior sister, please don't tell the master, otherwise I will be in trouble." "It's okay not to tell, but you can't tell the master about my coming out." "Make a deal." "A gentleman's word." "Hurry up and whip your horse." The two of them clapped their hands and the deal was concluded. Jingle. The crisp ringtone came faintly along with the sound of wind. Xiangzi drives away corpses and avoids strangers. The distant voice was particularly frightening in this gloomy night. After Axing and Xiaoyu experienced the incident with the female ghost in the winery, they became much bolder. Not only did they not feel scared, but they were somewhat curious. Xiaoyu originally planned to go to the church to meet her favorite handsome priest, but now she looked back. Crushing the corpse? Could it be Uncle Four Eyes who is here? Ah Sing guessed. Xiaoyu patted his head hard. "Idiot, Uncle Four Eyes only rings the bell when chasing corpses, and never shouts any slogans." Ah Sing thought so too. "You actually hit me." Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and ran forward. "The sound seems to be coming from the church. I'll go take a look." "Wait for me." Axing quickly followed. Both of them had forgotten Uncle Ju's warning. "Uncle, are you looking for me?" "Sit." Su Junming followed his instructions and sat down on a stool on the side of the hall. "How do you understand the golden light bagua?" "With my uncle's teachings, my nephew only feels that the future is bright." Uncle Ju nodded and pushed the black wooden box on the table in front of him. Su Junming twitched the corners of his mouth, and countless black lines hung from his forehead. The mat woven from the Diang grass in this box had been used by Uncle Ju to tempt him twice. "Are you addicted to playing, or how?" Su Junming was unable to complain. Seeing his expression, Uncle Ju couldn't help but smile. "This is for you. Dianko is too precious, and my nephew dare not collect it?" There was a hint of coping in Su Junming's tone. "Don't worry, I'm really giving it to you this time." After a pause, "I originally planned to give it to you when you left, but now that the golden light bagua has been passed on to you, there is no need to keep this thing. It's in hand." Su Junming was startled. From Uncle Ju's words, he understood that this mat woven from Diang grass was something that Uncle Ju left to his successor to use to practice the natural magic weapon. "I showed him several times but didn't give it to him. As a result, after passing him the golden light bagua cultivation method, he quickly took out the Dianko mat." Apparently Uncle Ju had regarded him as heir to his own mantle. Noticing the change in his expression, Uncle Ju also understood that he had guessed the reason. "Although Asing and Xiaoyu have been in my sect for many years, they are restless by nature, love worldly things, and are not members of the Tao section. Although I have been urging them to practice, I am afraid that they will not have the chance to complete the foundation and break into the innate world in this life. In this case, there is no point in leaving this Diang grass in my hands." He and Simu were from the same division, so they had a closer relationship than the other mission disciples. "If you love Wujaiwu, you will naturally become closer to Su Junming, your nephew." Su Junming was extremely talented and had a profound understanding of the pure Yang Wei, so Uncle Ju came up with the idea of passing on the mantle to him. "Uncle, Why don't you use it yourself? The great Dao is the only one. It is enough for me to have a natal magic weapon, the Bagua mirror. Practicing another pure yang magic weapon will only distract others, but will not be helpful to my practice. As for the Bagua array, he sighed, I have been enlightened for 30 years, but I still can't understand the Bagua array. There is no point in being distracted. Instead, it is better to abandon the array and put all my energy into it. In terms of cultivation and Chunyang Taoism, there is no way that I will have the opportunity to break into the golden elixir in the future. My uncle is superb in Taoism, and he will definitely be able to break through the golden elixir in the future. I'll lend you some good words. Hearing this, Su Junming also understood that this time Uncle Ju really planned to give him the mat woven by De Yang grass. But this kind of spiritual object that can cultivate middle-grade magical weapons or even high-grade magical weapons is really too precious. Although when he was teased by Uncle Ju the first 2 times, he thought countless times, if Uncle Ju gives it to him again, he will take it without hesitation. But when he got this thing, he became uneasy. Uncle, please wait a moment. Su Junming ran out of the main room and ran back quickly. It's just that there is a handful of long strips of green cloth in his hand. Put it on the table, untie the green cloth, and a wooden strip 2 feet and 3 inches long, as thick as a child's arm, entirely yellow-brown, with faint purple lines, appears in front of you. Is this, lightning striking Zayamu? Exactly. Uncle Ju reached out and took the lightning strike wood in his hand. After feeling it carefully, his expression became even more shocked. It's actually a Dongzhen medium-grade spiritual object? Where did you get such a precious thing? Uncle, do you still remember the broken piece of wood on the church steeple? No. After reminiscing, Uncle Ju nodded quickly. After living in Jiquan town for 5 years, he went to the church door to urinate every morning. He was so familiar with every plant and tree there. You mean? Su Junming nodded. I went to the church this morning. I originally wanted to look for traces of the black zombie, but I didn't expect to find the black zombie. Instead, I encountered this lightning-struck tree. Sure enough, it was a gift from God, Uncle Ju sighed. He had been going to the church every day for 5 years, but he never discovered that the broken wood was actually the extremely precious lightning-strike wood. Su Junming went there no more than 3 times in total and got this treasure. Seeing the lightning striking the wood in his hand, Uncle Ju raised his head and said, Is it because of it that you want to learn the thunder method? Uncle Master has a brilliant plan, that's exactly what it is. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 24. Chapter 24, The Supreme Purity Divine Thunder Method. You want to use it to practice the magic sword, Uncle Ju continued. Su Junming nodded. Haha, that's a good idea. However, the basic magic weapon corresponding to the secret Taoist method of our sect, the Supreme Pure Divine Thunder Technique, is not the magic sword, but the heavenly thunder drum. The thunder technique of the Supreme Purity God? Isn't it the lightning thunder fist? Uncle Ju frowned. Did Simu tell you? Of course Su Junming cannot say that he saw it from the movie. Therefore, the blame for this can only be shouldered by Simu, who was not present. Seeing him nodding, Uncle Ju said angrily, How did Simu become a master? How can you talk nonsense about this? Su Junming silently muttered I'm sorry several times. After Quan Dang apologized to his master, he waited patiently for Uncle Ju's next words. The secret thunder method of our sect is the Supreme God's thunder method. Lightning thunder fist is just an application of thunder method. It is a small skill, far worse than the sky thunder drum. Thunder drum. Su Junming expressed his curiosity in a timely manner. After Uncle Ju nodded, there was a hint of yearning in his eyes. The first drum is bursts of thunder, the second drum is thunder and lightning, the third drum is thunder comes to the world, and the fourth drum is spring thunder turns into rain. It is so powerful that all methods are easy to change. Unfortunately, the thunder method is difficult to cultivate, and it is even more difficult. Enlightenment. The only person in your generation who has mastered this method is your master Bo Shijian. Su Junming's pupils shrank. If the plot was to be followed, Shi Jian would probably have a conflict with Uncle Ju. I was favored by Uncle Ju, and because of the entanglement of cause and effect, I was afraid that I would be on the opposite side of Shi Jian. However, even your uncle is only at the level of one drum. Moreover, it is difficult to find spiritual objects. He has not yet mastered the heavenly thunder drum. He only relies on the lightning thunder fist to support his appearance. Uncle, is it difficult to practice Tianlei drum? Of course. The lightning method explodes, and ordinary spiritual objects cannot withstand countless thunder strikes. Lightning strike wood, especially Dongzhen medium grade and above, is even rarer than other Dongzhen high grade spiritual objects. Compared to lightning strike wood, the material for drum skin is even harder to find. At least it needs the skin of a monster with golden elixir or above, and preferably a monster with thunder attribute. However, the golden elixir monster is extremely powerful, and the golden elixir monster with thunder attribute is even more powerful. It has been extinct from the spiritual practice world for many years. Finally, the size of the thunder drum must be at least 2 feet. The bigger it is, the more powerful it is. It consumes spiritual materials several times that of ordinary magic weapons. Looking at Uncle Ju's Sai, it was obvious that he had also coveted Leifa in his early years. But for some reason, I gave up. Since the Sky Thunder drum is difficult to practice, isn't it also the same for refining the Sky Thunder sword and the Sky Thunder talisman as natal magic weapons? Su Junming said. Of course it's different. The Supreme Pure Divine Thunder technique can only exert its maximum power when combined with the Sky Thunder drum. The other swords, talismans, hammers, knives and other objects can only be combined with half of the Super Pure Divine Thunder technique. It's hard to exert its power, Uncle Ju said. After hearing this, Su Junming couldn't help but feel fascinated. I wonder what kind of power it can be when the thunder method of the supreme purity is combined with the thunder drum. Looking at his appearance, Uncle Ju frowned slightly. Just leave this lightning-struck jujube tree with me for now. If any of your disciples master the thunder method in the future, you can take it back. Obviously, he was afraid that Su Junming would covet the powerful thunder method and divert his energy to practice the thunder method. Uncle Ju simply pulled down the lightning strike jujube tree. Su Junming nodded. He originally planned to exchange the lightning struck jujube wood for Uncle Ju's Dianko mat. Moreover, compared with this section of jujube wood, the real big head is the cross that suppresses the black stiffness. If it were also a lightning strike wood, it would be much larger than this lightning strike wood. A harsh knock on the door suddenly rang. The sound was so loud that it shook the entire courtyard in the dark night. Such a rude performance instantly made Uncle Ju frown. Put your things away. Su Junming nodded, wrapped the thunderbolt wood in furoshiki, and then took it into the back room along with the black wooden box containing Dianko. The knocking on the door was still ringing, getting louder and louder. Axing, open the door. After seeing no movement for a long time, Uncle Ju couldn't help but shout. Uncle, I guess Axing and Xiaoyu went out. These two losers know how to play all day long. He quickly stopped Uncle Ju. Uncle, I'd better open the door. That's fine. Su Junming quickly walked out of the room, walked through the courtyard, came to the courtyard door, and opened the wooden bars above. Squeak. With a hoarse friction sound, a middle-aged man wearing a short-breasted waistcoat, a deerskin bag hanging around his waist, a short cut hair, a scar looming on his forehead, and a fierce face appeared in front of him. Who are you? Seeing Su Junming, the visitor was stunned for a moment. When your excellency comes to visit, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? Having said that, Su Junming, who had watched the movie, knew the identity of this person the moment he saw him. "Boy, you are young, but your tone is quite serious." After that, he straightened his back and rushed straight into the courtyard. Su Junming's eyes turned cold. He was not interested in him, so he would not let him go. Seeing that he didn't dodge, the visitor sneered and put another 3 points of strength on his shoulders. Boom! The two people, who were unwilling to give in, bumped into each other on the shoulders. Su Junming suddenly felt a strong force coming and took 2 steps back. Of course, the other party also feels uncomfortable. Tu Long, who also took 2 steps back, looked at the young man in front of him in surprise. Even though he didn't use all his strength in the collision just now, it wasn't something that ordinary people could resist. Okay, no wonder you have such a tough tone, it turns out you have some ability. But first, let me, the uncle of the master, weigh the abilities of Lin Ju's disciples. Hey! Tu Long, who was angry in his heart, gave a low shout and slapped his right palm fiercely towards the Tanzong hole on Su Junming's chest. The sharp palm wind is breathtaking. If he was hit by this palm, Su Junming would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. Su Junming was also angry when he saw that he was so cruel without asking any questions. He waved his right fist and responded directly. Boom! The sound of defeat sounded. Feeling the counter-shock force in his palm, Slayer was secretly shocked. Although this young man's strength is somewhat inferior to his own, his exquisite boxing skills are better than his own. Bang bang bang. The two of them went back and forth, fighting for more than 10 rounds in the blink of an eye. Seeing that he couldn't take down the opponent with his fists and kicks, Tu Long used his palm to force back Su Junming's punch, then turned over and retreated. His right hand quickly reached into his pocket and shot out 3 black lights like lightning, only to hit Su Junming's face. Before the black light reached his face, a fishy smell appeared in his mouth and nose. Su Junming knew that something was not right, so he quickly held his breath, straightened his back, and turned a kite over. After dodging it like lightning, he took out the demon-slaying talisman. With a burst of magic power, he shot out a sword light, instantly cutting off 3 black lights. After the black light fell to the ground, I saw that it was a large red-headed centipede that was 3 to 5 inches long. Green mucus flowed out from the fracture, making a sheesy sound, corroding the ground, revealing its strong toxicity. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 25. Chapter 25, Capturing and Slaying the Dragon. Seeing this from the corner of his eye, Su Junming felt slightly cold in his heart. If he were bitten by the centipede, he would probably lose his life. In an instant, all hesitation was gone. It doesn't matter whether you are a member of the mission disciples or not, or whether you are one of my elders, since you want my life, I will kill you first. There is no hiding now. As soon as he activated the demon-slaying talisman, the sharp sword energy shot through the air and slashed towards the dragon slayer. Well done. With a loud shout, a black sword-shaped talisman appeared in Tu Long's left palm. With a rush of magic power, a 3-foot-long black Swanyan sword energy met Su Junming's demon-killing talisman. Choke. The sound of gold and iron clashing sounded, and the two sword energies were indistinguishable. Su Junming's expression remained unchanged. He waved his left hand and the corpse rope wrapped around his forearm turned into a white light and flew over like lightning. Magical weapon. Tu Long's expression changed greatly, and he was about to run away as soon as he showed his body. Su Junming activated his magic power, and the rope that bound the corpse was instantly stretched. The rope, which was only a foot long at first, turned into dozens of feet in the blink of an eye, covering the dragon-slaying body, and then shrank inwards. Tu Long's whole body was like a wooden stake, and he fell to the ground with a clatter. The sword-shaped talisman seal lost its magical support and also fell to the ground. The basic talisman used by Su Junming to practice the corpse tying rope is the corpse suppressing talisman, soul suppressing talisman and imprisonment talisman. In terms of power, it is even better than the four-purpose corpse tying rope. Once trapped by it, don't even think about moving your body, soul, or mana. He walked forward, reached out, and pulled off the talisman bag from Tulong's waist. After sensing it with his spiritual consciousness, Su Junming thought to himself. I didn't expect it to be a high-end product with two restrictions. He stretched out his right hand and picked up the sword-shaped talisman seal. After playing with it for a while, he carried Tulong into the courtyard. Uncle Ju was standing on the steps in front of the hall. In fact, he had seen it as early as when Su Junming started fighting against Tulong. The reason why he didn't take action to stop him was because he planned to use Tulong's help to test the skills of this nephew. To his surprise, Su Junming was much stronger than he expected, and he killed the person without even using the 4 elephants demon-slaying array. Uncle, this person is rude, and the Imperial Envoy Poison Centipede must be a member of the evil section. Why don't you let me eliminate harm for the people and kill him? Dragon Slaying's eyes cannot move and his mouth cannot speak, but his ears can hear. When he heard that Su Junming wanted to kill him, he was filled with fear and regret. If I had known that this young man had a magic weapon in his hand, I wouldn't have done anything. Junming, don't do anything. This person is a fellow disciple of mine in mission, and he is also your senior uncle. Why do people in mission use sorcery? It's just a few centipedes, it can't be considered a witchcraft. Just put away the corpse rope. Since my uncle said so, let's let him go for the time being. Su Junming stretched out his hand and the rope that bound the corpse turned into white light and flew into his palm. As soon as he was free, Tulong turned over and stood up, looking at Su Junming warily, especially the corpse rope in his hand. Junior, who is your master? Su Junming looked dull and was too lazy to pay attention to him. Tulong was furious. You! Slaying the dragon, what are you doing here? Uncle Ju interrupted. He snorted angrily, saying that he was not as strong as others, so he could only talk about how happy he was to kill the dragon. Linju, my concubine asked me to tell you that back then you promised her that you would marry her after you broke into Xiantian and stabilized Yuan Yang. Now that you have become Xiantian, it's time to fulfill your promise back then. Su Junming was stunned for a moment. He thought of various reasons why Dragon Slayer came to visit, but the only one he didn't expect was this. Seeing his curious eyes, Uncle Ju couldn't help but blush. I understand, let's go. Before Tulong could speak, the sound of rapid footsteps came from far away, and Xing and Xiaoyu ran in from the door one behind the other. Master, Master, there's something you can't even imagine. The corpse parked behind the church. When the two of them saw Tulong standing in the courtyard, they swallowed back what they said. Especially the ferocious look in Dragon Slayer's eyes made the two people who had been beaten remain silent. However, Tulong, who also suffered a big loss at the hands of Su Junming, had no intention of warning Xing and Xiaoyu. Linju, I brought you the message. It's up to you to decide what to do. His eyes turned to Su Junming. Boy, return my talisman bag and the Swanyan ghost killing talisman. Su Junming, who has watched The Exorcist, knows very well that this dragon-slaying Death Star hood is destined not to survive tonight. After killing the black zombie, all his things belonged to him, so Su Junming did not refuse and threw the talisman bag and the Swanyan ghost killing talisman over. He reached out and took it, snorted coldly, and then strode away. Master, that person just used a corpse to transport poison. As the threat was gone, Xing immediately spoke. Yes, Master. We saw it with our own eyes, Xiaoyu agreed. But Uncle Ju obviously didn't want to hear this. You two actually disobeyed the teacher's orders and went out without permission. Master. Before Xiaoyu could finish speaking. Go back to your room and copy the Huangting Sutra 50 times. You won't be allowed to eat until you finish copying. Axing and Xiaoyu pursed their lips, but seeing their master's furious look, although they felt aggrieved, they did not dare to say anything more, and they returned to their respective rooms. Well. Uncle Ju sighed heavily. It's so annoying. Master, don't worry too much. It will be fine if Azing and Xiaoyu grow up in a few years. I hope so. Looking at the calm and confident nephew, Uncle Ju became more and more envious. Why can't I accept such a disciple? Uncle, how about slaying a dragon and using its corpse to transport poison? Mission prohibits members of the same sect from killing each other. If he is discovered, his cultivation will be abolished and expelled from the sect. At worst, he will be thrown into the 9 netherworld. Therefore, unless we can get conclusive evidence about this matter, there is nothing we can do against him. Moreover, now that Jiquan Town is facing the threat of that black zombie, we can't take care of him for the time being. Su Junming nodded. Uncle, a few days have passed since the black stalemate was broken. If we don't take action, I'm afraid we will have long nights and many dreams. No need to wait any longer, we will start at noon tomorrow. Seeing his surprised look, Uncle Ju smiled faintly. The reason why I don't want to take action early is because my natal magical weapon Bagua Mirror has reached the advanced stage. So, Uncle succeeded. Uncle Ju nodded proudly. Congratulations, Uncle, congratulations, Uncle. The last time Su Junming broke through the realm, Uncle Ju's Bagua Mirror was already a low-grade magical artifact with 3 forbidden rules. If the 4th forbidden instrument was refined, it would be a real middle-grade magical weapon. The mid-grade magic weapon with the 4 forbidden laws can allow a cultivator in the innate stage to display his or her own strength 3 times. If he can have a medium-grade magic weapon in his hand, he will not be afraid if he does not have a magic weapon in the middle stage of Xiantian. Master Uncle's strength has greatly increased. Capturing that black zombie will be easy. Uncle Ju waved his hand. The demon is cunning and will confront the enemy at the right moment. Don't be arrogant. Yes, nephew, remember this. Okay, go and close the courtyard door, go back to the house early to rest, recharge your batteries, and prepare for tomorrow's battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 26. Chapter 26 Father Wu comes to visit. Su Junming responded, turned around, closed the courtyard door, and went to the main room to get the dying straw mat back. Spreading out on his own bed, feeling the strong pure yang energy in it, Su Junming was extremely excited. This is a Dongzhen medium-grade spiritual object, and there is hope that a high-grade magic weapon can be cultivated in the future. Uncle Ju hoped that he would use this dying straw mat to practice a pure Yang Bagua diagram as a natal magic weapon. But Su Junming even wanted to use it to practice a 4 symbols to exorcise evil formation. He has understood the secret of the 4 symbols of evil slaying formation. Although the time is short, 1 night is enough for him to practice a forbidden method. With a forbidden 4 elephant evil killing array and 4 golden light talisman, the power of the 4 elephant evil killing array will be 4 times stronger than the original one, and it will be more powerful than Uncle Ju just promoted to the middle level. The magic weapon's Bagua Mirror is even stronger. It's just that it takes time to set up the formation. If you miss a hit, it will be much more difficult to kill the enemy with it than before. Although it is powerful, it is far less flexible than the Bagua Mirror. As for the natal magic weapon corresponding to Chunyang Taoism, it will not be too late to look for it when his strength is high. Having made up his mind, Su Junming took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged on the bed. After silently reciting the calming mantra and eliminating all distracting thoughts, the magic power held up the Di Yang grass mat, and with a stroke of his hands, countless runes were derived and immersed in it. As time passed little by little, the atmosphere on the Dianko mat gradually changed. Dong dong. Just after breakfast, there was a knock on the courtyard door. Ah Sing ran over and opened it without any instructions. Not long after, Father Wu, wearing a hooded robe, followed by a handsome young monk, walked in under the leadership of Axing. Looking at Xiaoyu's straight eyes, Su Junming shook his head inwardly. Sure enough, you are greedy for other people's bodies. Uncle 9. Father Wu smiled and greeted him. Uncle Ju cupped his fists. Please sit down. Xiaoyu, serve tea. There was no movement for a while. Uncle Ju turned around and saw his apprentice's nymphomaniac look, which instantly made him furious. Xiaoyu, serve tea. The deliberately amplified voice still did not shake Xiaoyu's gaze. Axing saw something bad from the side and kicked him directly. Master wants you to serve tea. When he came back to his senses, he was about to get angry and chase Ah Sing, but when he saw the angry eyes of his master, his heart trembled and he said quickly. I'm going to serve tea, I'm going right now. After taking one look at the young monk, he quickly ran out. I'm frizzy all day long, Uncle Ju was very dissatisfied. Young people are always more lively, Father Wu said. After looking at him, Uncle Ju said in a slightly arrogant tone. Your Excellency is here to visit. What's the matter? A lot of weird things have happened in the town recently. I wonder if Uncle Ju's house. Humph. No dirty thing dares to come to this important place of Taoism. Father Wu smiled slightly awkwardly. Yes, just like in church, nothing will happen. As he said that, he subconsciously lifted his collar. Su Junming looked in his eyes, and two mirror images appeared in his pupils. In an instant, the condition inside Father Wu's body was clearly visible before his eyes. The mental power in the sea of consciousness was much less than when he first met. There is also a black force that spreads from the neck to the body along the meridians. Because of the suppression of mental power, this power extends very slowly, and it is never able to invade the most important head. Looks like he's been bitten, Su Junming thought to himself. That talisman you burned last time, can it really exorcise demons and cure diseases? Father Wu asked. Uncle Ju smiled faintly. This is just like believing in God. As long as you are sincere, it will work. Oh. Father Wu showed a trace of confusion on his face. Uncle Ju saw this and said, if you have any difficulties, just ask. No, no. It's late, I should go back. After that, he stood up and greeted the young monk behind him, and the two of them walked outside together. Because he was walking too fast, he almost bumped into Xiaoyu, who came in with tea. Uncle, this Father Wu is hesitant, he obviously touched something dirty. Uncle Ju nodded. It's lucky to meet him after living here for such a long time. After a pause, Junming, pack your things and we'll set off at noon. Yes. Axing, Xiaoyu. Master. Go to Zhangmei's and buy a black dog and 2 roosters. Master, why are you buying a dog and a rooster? Axing asked. Just go if you are told, there are so many problems. Ah Sing was so frustrated that he didn't dare to ask again. He took the money and ran out with Xiaoyu. Su Junming had nothing to prepare, and he had already brought everything he could get. After returning to the room to meditate and adjust the breath, and restore his magic power and energy to the peak, he brought the corpse-binding rope, the 4-elephant evil-killing array, 2 magic tools, the ebony Guangong statue, the demon-killing talisman and the golden light. Talisman, as well as the demon killer, Forbidden Town, and golden light talisman accumulated during this period, a total of 49. In fact, Su Junming could draw more yellow talismans when he had time, but he didn't have a talisman bag, so it would be too troublesome to warm and raise them if he drew too many. Master. Along with the rapid footsteps, Xiaoyu's shout came in. Su Junming opened the door and went out, and Uncle Ju also happened to come out of the main room. What's the matter? Where's Ah Seeing? Everyone is saying on the street. Last night, the mayor's family, Miss N, gambling shop owner Ma Liao, and Du Juniang from Chunxiang House, and more than a dozen people disappeared, and now they are discussing how to report to the official. Senior brother, go to Miss N's house. Uncle Ju's expression was condensed, and he had no time to care about Ah Seeing's whereabouts. Are you telling the truth? Xiaoyu nodded quickly. I wouldn't dare lie to master about such an important matter. Uncle Ju thought the same thing. Just when he was about to ask again, a young man in a short coat hurried in. Uncle Ju, please go to the town hall to discuss matters. Xiaosan, the mayor's family disappeared last night, Uncle Ju asked. The person nodded. Many people disappeared last night. Now the people in the town are panicked. They say anything. The elders and town officials of several big names in the town are now at the town office. Everyone asked me to invite you to come with me. Uncle Ju nodded, took off his Taoist robe, threw it away, and walked out the door. Master, this cock and black dog. Xiaoyu is holding the chicken in one hand and the dog in the other. Tie it down, let's talk about it when we get back. Oh. He responded aggrievedly. Give it to me. The gentle voice coming from behind was nothing more than a fairy tale to Xiaoyu at this moment. He quickly handed the chicken and dog into Su Junming's hands. Thank you, senior brother Junming. Su Junming smiled gently. She couldn't hold back her curiosity for a long time, so she hurried out of the house, looking in the direction that she should be heading towards the town office. Su Junming was not curious about this. A group of rural fools and foolish women, plus a few banana men who have learned some foreign ink and talk about science every day, will probably still be confused between newspaper officials and feudal superstition. Instead of listening to their noise, it is better to stay here and continue to practice your own 4 symbols to kill evil formation. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 27. Chapter 27, Not Turning into Bones. As soon as he tied up the 2 roosters and the black dog, Su Junming moved his ears and quietly hid his figure. Not long after, a guy wearing a brown hood walked in quietly. Judging from his figure, he was the young monk who had just left here with Father Wu an hour ago. Watching him sneak into the main room, he uncovered 3 talisman seals enshrined in front of the clay statue of Tai's Hang Lejun in the middle of the main room, put them in his arms, and ran out secretly. Su Junming walked out of the shadows, pondered for a moment, and followed. Follow him all the way to the church. Under the rainy sky, the tall church looked a bit more gloomy than before. The beggars who were wandering around the church begging for money now disappeared. After the young monk entered, he quickly closed the heavy wooden door of the church. A mirror image flashed across Su Junming's pupils, and a black aura more than 3 feet high shot out from the northwest corner of the church. What a strong yin qi! Moreover, there are many sources of these yin energy, but most of them are emanated from the guy lying on the sarcophagus. The second most powerful source of yin qi left was a short, thick guy standing next to the sarcophagus, facing a fierce face. He looked like he was slaying a dragon. The remaining people around are the missing people in the town and the fake corpses who were driven here by the dragon slayer. That shouldn't be the case. After absorbing the blood essence of so many people, there is also an innate early stage cultivator among them, yet this black zombie's strength has not been strengthened at all. The last time Su Junming pulled out the half of the cross from here, he used a bronze mirror to explore the strength of the western zombie. There was almost no change in the yin energy between him then and him now. This is completely opposite to the situation where zombies become stronger as they suck blood. Su Junming showed a deep thought on his face. There is only one explanation for the current situation. The western zombie is not a zombie at all, but an unbone. Only those who are non-bone cannot strengthen their strength by sucking blood the moment they were bitten, their strength was already fixed. The stronger the corpse poison's host, the stronger it will be without turning into bones. The stronger the invulnerable bone was before being bitten, the stronger it will be after becoming invulnerable bone. Except for these two, unless they swallow the yin attribute of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, they cannot advance through practice, and their strength will remain constant until they are killed by a monk. Not enough. A mouthful of corpse poison can create an immortal bone equivalent to the late stage of black zombie. How strong will the zombie that bites him be? Su Junming was shocked and looked around quickly. Could it be that there is a bronze-armored corpse hidden in this church? Back and forth, he carefully looked around the church with the bronze mirror. After making sure that there was no stronger yin qi, Su Junming breathed a sigh of relief. If there really was a bronze-armored corpse here, he would definitely leave Jiquan Town as soon as possible. Damn it, when he encountered a bronze-armored corpse that was equivalent to a Jindan monk at the early stage of his innate life, he couldn't even fill the gap between his teeth. Call. After breathing a sigh of relief, did I guess wrong? I looked at the time and saw that it was noon in a quarter of an hour, which was 12 o'clock at noon. Apparently, Uncle Ju, who was stymied by the town hall affairs, had no time to slay demons today. Su Junming hesitated for a moment, his eyes fixed. He walked towards the main entrance of the church. Dong dong. A knock on the door alarmed the monks in the church. Not long after, the young monk who stole the talisman opened a crack in the door. When he saw it was him, a look of panic appeared on his face. Having done something wrong, of course you will feel flustered when you see the person who suffered you. Are you okay? I want to see Father Wu. Seeing that he didn't mention the talisman and seal, the young monk calmed down a little. Wait a minute. Su Junming nodded. The young monk closed the door and soon opened it again. Father, please come in. Su Junming stepped into the door, walked through a corridor, and turned into the church hall. As a practitioner of the Pure Yang Way, he is particularly sensitive to yin qi. The yin qi in this hall is nearly twice as thick as outside. And there is a faint smell of blood in it. God bless the world, Mr. Su. Su Junming returned the salute and glanced at the water stains mixed with black residue on the ground. Father Wu, our Taoist talismans are not boiled and drank water, but like this. Su Junming took out a golden talisman from the deerskin bag and placed it against the bite on Father Wu's neck like lightning. Pure Yang Qi is the nemesis of Yin Qi and Corpse Qi. When the two come into contact, they are at odds with each other. Ah! With a cry of pain, Father Wu collapsed to the ground. Father, priest. The young monk looked panicked and quickly reached out to help him. No. It's okay. Father Wu, who was sweating profusely, stood up with the help of the young monk. Although he was mentally strong, his body was as weak as his age. Although this method of practice, which is similar to the Buddhist path to enlightenment, is fast, its weaknesses are also obvious. Thank you, I'm feeling much better now. Su Junming shook his head. No need to thank me. Besides, my golden light talisman can only help you suppress the corpse poison, but it can't save your life. The strong mental power ensured that Father Wu did not turn into a skeleton for nearly a day after being bitten. But the corpse poison has eroded his heart and he can't survive. I know. But before that, I would like to ask you and Uncle Ju to help deal with those demons. Otherwise, the entire Jiquan town will suffer. Slaying demons and maintaining peace is also the responsibility of us Chinese Taoists to understand and practice. It is our duty to do what you said. But I want to know the origin of that devil. Father Wu was stunned for a moment, and his face darkened. Do you really know? Su Junming was surprised. He just asked tentatively and didn't have much hope. Well. Father Wu sighed heavily, with a look of memory on his face. Now that things have happened, we can no longer hide it. The name of the devil who disrupted the church is James. He is a missionary who came to China from the Eagle Kingdom and is also my godfather. Godfather James was a kind man. When he was in Jiquan town, he always treated the people in the town for free, and often used money donated by businessmen and landowners in the town to buy rice and grain to relieve the poor. Father Wu's eyes showed deep respect. Until one night in July, an Eagle Country archaeological team from Guangdong province passed here. The leader was a Londoner named Charles Hank. The night before departure, he took the initiative to find my godfather. I don't know what they talked about, but the next day, the godfather told me that he was going out and asked me to lead the remaining monks to guard the church. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 28. Chapter 28 Godfather Jean. I originally wanted to ask why, but the godfather set off quickly and didn't give me a chance. About 2 months later, I still remember that it was one night when the godfather suddenly rushed back in a dusty state. His face was very expressionless. Bad, like being sick. At night, I heard him screaming in pain in the room. I rushed in and saw that the whole room was in a mess. Godfather Jean is a clean person. Under normal circumstances, his room will always be in order. I'm scared. There was a trace of fear on Father Wu's face, and it was obvious that this incident had a great impact on him. Even now I can't forget Godfather Jean's devouring eyes and his thirst for blood. Fortunately, Godfather Jean has a very high level of practice in the Bible and is close to the level of a bishop. Su Junming guessed that the corresponding bishop level should be the golden elixir monks in China. With the help of the Holy See, he suppressed the devil in his heart. Then he told me that he was invited by Charles Hank to excavate a Tang dynasty tomb located in Hunan province, China. After more than a month of hard excavation, they eventually found the main chamber of the tomb. But when they tried to excavate, the vampire devil inside was alarmed. The archaeological team, plus a 200-person Eagle Nation army, were completely wiped out. Although Godfather Jean was bitten, he finally escaped with the help of the holy weapon of the Holy See in his hand. But the temptation of the devil did not stop. It was always tempting the Godfather to fall into the abyss of sin. It would have hurt more people. Godfather Jean dismissed the extra monks while he was awake during the day, leaving only me. He wanted me to kill him, but I couldn't do it. Father Wu had a look of pain on his face. Obviously this incident left a deep impression on my memory, and I have not forgotten it for 10 years. One rainy night, Godfather Jean went crazy again. He wanted to bite me, but, after a pause, Father Wu subconsciously tightened the bead chain of the silver cross in his hand. Although he didn't say it later, it seemed that this silver cross saved him. He ran out of the church, shouting crazily in the rain. Maybe God didn't want him to be possessed. Suddenly, a huge lightning bolt broke the cross on the church steeple, and the upper part fell down, impaling Godfather Jean to death. Father Wu sighed, with a hint of sadness on his face. I moved his body to the basement. Because I was afraid that his soul would be invaded by the devil again, I didn't remove the cross from his back. Then you left, Su Junming said. Father Wu nodded. Before the accident, Godfather Jean recommended that I go to the Vatican to study. On the third day after he left, I received a telegram from the capital city. So I packed up my things, closed the church and went to Rome. This time I went, that's 10 years. Father Wu's face showed a trace of emotion about the passage of time. After a while, his eyes scanned the entire church. This church is the hard work of Godfather Jean, and I can't let it sink. So after returning to China from Rome, I came here again with some monks. Originally, I thought that after 10 years, Godfather Jean's body had turned into bones, so I did not collect it immediately. In addition, Uncle Ju had always opposed the reopening of the church, which distracted my attention and forgot to explain to those young people. Disciple. Having said this, Father Wu showed deep regret on his face. I should have gone to the basement earlier to take a look at the situation there. Maybe I could kill the devil in the cradle. Su Junming was silent. Father Wu's short narrative finally allowed him to understand the whole story of the zombie case in the church, and it also made him feel relieved. There is no bronze-armored corpse here that he is afraid of. Squeak. The hoarse sound of the door opening, although not loud, was particularly harsh in the silent church. At the same time, the yin energy in the church also rose. God, Father, the devil is out. The young monk looked at the open door on the left, his whole body trembling with nervousness. Father Wu looked serious and clenched the cross in his hand. I'll block it here now, you go and invite Uncle Ju here. A 3-foot square object, entirely golden, with 4 white talismans attached to its 4 corners, flew out of Su Junming's arms and floated a foot above his head. At the same time, 2 white talismans flew out of his deerskin bag and hung on his shoulders. The rope that bound the body also flew from the wrist to the palm. Even though the big guy inside is just an immortal bone, the strength of the intransigent bone in the later stage of Hei's Hung has far surpassed him. If he didn't have these treasures in his hands, Su Junming would have run away long ago. First weigh the strength of this Western boneless. If you can beat him, I will destroy him. If you can't beat him, it won't be difficult for me to run out of the church in broad daylight. After making up his mind, Su Junming's heart stabilized. Father Wu, if I can trap your godfather, can you kill him? I will do my best to use the Holy Sea's holy tools to purify him, but I am not sure of victory. Seeing the magic in Su Junming, Father Wu was surprised and had a little more confidence in him. Su Junming didn't ask again. At this moment, those guys who had been sucked by the Western immortal bone and turned into immutable bones had already run out from inside. Su Junming was not in a hurry to take action. Using the bronze mirror, it's almost time to see these scattered guys in the basement. Only then did he take out 13 yellow demon-killing talismans. The illusory sword shadow penetrated most of the surrounding skulls like lightning. These ordinary people have become immortal, and with the blessing of corpse poison, their strength is only slightly stronger than ordinary people. In the blink of an eye, the only ones around were the dragon slayers who had also turned into bones. This guy was in the early stage of congenital life, and after becoming an immortal, he was far stronger than ordinary people. However, in Su Junming's opinion, this guy is much easier to deal with than before. At least those difficult mission Taoist talismans have completely lost their effect. All that remains is the instinct that comes with strong physical fitness. Roar! With a loud shout, Tulong kicked his legs and quickly grabbed Su Junming. With a contemptuous smile, he spread his palms and prepared to catch this guy with a corpse rope and then chop him to death. But before he could take action, a dark shadow flashed before his eyes. Not good. Su Junming was shocked. The 4 elephants' evil killing formation glowed brightly, and a tough yellow light shield blocked in front of him. Boom! The spiritual light was turbulent and almost shattered. At the same time, a powerful force struck, and Su Junming was caught off guard and flew out directly. Wow! Countless chairs were knocked over by him. God conquers the devil. Father Wu shouted loudly, and the holy white light illuminated half of the church. The shrill screams rang out. When everything calmed down, a tall, Western-looking man wearing black robes, fangs at the corners of his mouth, red pupils, and a ferocious expression appeared in Su Junming's eyes. 3 meters away from him, Father Wu held up a silver cross, looking sad and angry. A young monk next to him fell in a pool of blood, apparently dead. As for slaying the dragon, the holy light just now did a lot of damage to him, and he will hide behind the Western zombies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 29. Chapter 29, Su Junming survived a narrow escape. Su Junming turned over like a kite and came to Father Wu. Can you still hold on? Father Wu clutched his chest to calm his rapid breathing. Thanks to your talisman just now, otherwise I would have been invaded by the devil's power in my mind and completely sunk. Just now, I used my spiritual power to activate the holy light, and the corpse poison almost lost its suppression. It's fine, but this guy's speed is too fast. Is there any good way to limit it? Su Junming asked solemnly. Although my holy light will scare him, it cannot restrain him, Father Wu said with a bitter smile. Su Junming frowned. Originally, he thought that it was daytime and these bones would not come out. Unexpectedly, the gloomy atmosphere in this church was so strong, and it was cloudy outside, blocking most of the sun's true fire. These guys lost their scruples, and not only ran out, but also blocked him here. In the final analysis, it was due to Su Junming's lack of experience and his carelessness as his strength increased. It's too late to regret now. This church is built with bricks and stones on all sides. The speed of Western bones is too fast, so it is definitely impossible to escape. Roar. The attack was ineffective, and under the burning power of the holy light and pure yang, the increasingly furious Zhang Bohuang, his eyes red, roared, and charged forward again. Damn! Su Junming cursed secretly, suppressed his unnecessary thoughts for the time being, and shook his hands to knock out the corpse-binding rope. A ray of white light instantly extended, like a spiritual snake, and quickly headed towards the Western Ocean. As if aware of the extraordinary nature of the corpse binding, he turned over and escaped from the grasp of the corpse binding rope like lightning. Su Junming used his magic power to bind the corpse and chased him away. But the speed at which the body was broken into bones was so fast that the corpse rope could not catch up. Shua! The sound of clothes breaking in the wind sounded, and a trace of determination flashed across Su Junming's face, and he secretly said, "Fight." The finger gestures of both hands changed, and the 4 elephants' evil-slaying formation suspended above the head, together with the golden light talisman in the 4 corners, suddenly saw a surge of golden light. The surging pure yang energy formed countless chains under his control, tightly wrapping around Zhang Fugu's body. Su Junming's forehead and back were instantly wet with cold sweat as he looked at the iron-green sharp claws that were spread with corpse spots slowly stretched out in front of him, as well as the ferocious Western face that was not broken into bones, and the bloodthirsty eyes. Just a few centimeters away, he was scratched by this sharp claw. Even if the overbearing corpse poison couldn't kill him, it was enough for him to drink a pot. It's too dangerous. He quickly took a few steps back to avoid the claws. Roar! Bulatin Huagu struggled fiercely, and the 4 golden chains were stretched straight under its huge force. Su Junming gritted his teeth and tried his best to activate his magic power, trying to stabilize the formation. Fortunately, the formation diagram plus Jushu's practice of 4 golden light talismans were powerful enough. Coupled with his own understanding of the formation, he finally stabilized the formation slowly. However, the power of late-stage Xiantian demons exceeded Su Junming's expectations. Afraid of an accident, Su Junming's heart moved. He called back the corpse-binding rope, and tied the Western immortal bones tightly in circles. The large array and the magic weapon finally suppressed its resistance. After finishing these tasks, Su Junming just breathed a sigh of relief and put his heart from his throat into his stomach, when he heard a bang in his ears, and the aura of the 4 elephants' exorcist formation was scattered and started to shake again. Zhang Bohuagu took the opportunity to resist, almost making all his hard work go to waste. After quickly stabilizing the formation, Su Junming, who was unable to take action, shouted quickly as he looked at the Tulong attacking the formation outside. "Father Wu, is there any way to kill this monster?" After there was no movement for a while, Su Junming turned around and his face instantly turned ugly. The young monk who had been killed by the Western indestructible bones was now lying on Father Wu's back, his ferocious fangs biting Father Wu's neck. Looking at the latter, black blood veins extend along the neck to the face and brain at a speed visible to the naked eye. It is obvious that the corpse poison has completely lost its suppression, and it will not be long before he becomes like the young monk. Su Junming's heart sank. A Western invincible bone made him try his best. Coupled with the powerful slaying dragon and two newly transformed inflexible bones, it would only make him consume his mana faster. Once the mana is used up, with Western's incredible speed, he will only be slaughtered. Roar! Father Wu roared angrily, and he turned into a boneless creature with a dong sound and hit the formation. When he was alive, he was old and frail. After being transformed by corpse poison, he actually became extremely powerful. Slaying the dragon, the young monk, and Father Wu's collision formation, there is also the Xiang Fugigu who is struggling more and more. Su Junming's mana was consumed faster and faster, and his mind that had just stabilized suddenly became anxious again. Fight! After thinking about it quickly, Su Junming was heartbroken. Just when he was about to abandon the body-binding rope and buy himself time to escape from the church, there was a clang, the door of the church was violently kicked open, and a series of footsteps sounded from far to near. Uncle Ju, who was wearing an apricot yellow Taoist robe, held the Bagua mirror in his hand and carried a peachwood sword on his back, and rushed in at the lead. Axing and Xiaoyu followed closely behind, and there were also a group of people with guns in their hands. Master! Su Junming has never been so happy as at that moment. Uncle Ju's poker face instantly became cute in his eyes. After seeing everything in the church clearly, Uncle Ju's expression changed. He strode forward and shouted at the same time. Heaven and earth are infinite, the universe destroys demons. The spell sounded, and a barrel-thick golden light, like lightning, instantly enveloped the young monk. The powerful pure yang energy quickly destroyed the corpse energy and yin energy in his body, and he fell to the ground with a pop and turned into a real corpse. Following the same pattern, Father Wu was quickly subdued. The slightly more troublesome thing is slaying the dragon. Years of practice have given him a physical fitness that is beyond ordinary people. After being strengthened by corpse poison, he has improved to a higher level. However, without Mao Shan's exquisite Taoism, Tu Long's strength was strictly speaking a step back. Uncle Ju tossed it casually, and under the guidance of magic power, dozens of yellow talismans were scattered all over the place, like a big net, confining dragon slaying in the blink of an eye, and the Bagua mirror flashed with golden light, covering him in it. Under the surging pure yang qi, along with the shrill screams, black smoke rose from Tu Long's body, and was quickly annihilated by the pure yang qi. The movement slowly became weaker and weaker, and then disappeared. I didn't expect that the talisman seal could be used like this. Su Junming's eyes widened as he watched Uncle Ju use a sky full of yellow talismans to restrain the slaying dragon, and then captured and killed him in one fell swoop. Junming, are you okay? After taking care of the troublesome guy, Uncle Ju asked nervously. Uncle, if you had come 2 minutes later, you probably wouldn't have been able to see me, Su Junming said with a bitter smile. Uncle Ju frowned and scolded. You kid is so bold. I have to be careful when dealing with the darkness in this church. You dare to break in all by yourself. How can I explain to you if something happens to you? Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 30. Chapter 30, Demon Killing Golden Light. Su Junming smiled bitterly in his heart. He swore to God that he had never thought of dealing with this ghost he eyes hung alone. No, it should be Buletingu. The reason why I followed up in the first place was just to take advantage of the daytime opportunity to confirm the location of the other half of the lightning struck wood and see if I had a chance to take it away. If possible, take away the dragon-slaying talisman bag that he has coveted for a long time. A moment of greed led to him falling into the dangerous situation he is in now. Feeling Uncle Ju's sincere concern under his stern tone, Su Junming wisely admitted his mistake. "Uncle, now I'm trapping this immortal bone. I'll let you into the formation, and you come and kill him." Looking at the corpse steaming and struggling zombies, Uncle Ju also knew that now was not the time to speak. He took out his mahogany sword, attached the demon-slaying talisman, and entered the formation through the gap opened by Su Junming. Uncle Ju was also a decisive person. After entering, he stabbed the zombie in the heart with his sword. Choke. Along with the friction, a strong resistance made it difficult for the Daomu sword to penetrate deeper than half an inch. Roar. The threat of death caused the zombie to struggle even more violently. The rope that bound the corpse shone with light, and the four-element evil-killing formation formed bursts of golden light. Su Junming quickly activated his magic power to suppress its resistance. Uncle Ju saw it and raised the Bagua mirror in his hand. The universe of heaven and earth, the sect of the supreme Qing dynasty, the golden light that destroys demons, is as urgent as the law. The Bagua mirror buzzed slightly, and a faint golden white aura flew out from the mirror, instantly covering the zombie's chest. Tisk. As a corrosive sound sounded, a roar of pain exploded in Su Junming's ears. However, he no longer cared about admiring the process of Uncle Ju's slaying of demons. An unprecedented powerful corpse energy and counter-shock force came along the gold chain and the rope to bind the corpse. Su Junming did not hesitate and quickly formed a seal with his hands. The seal script is too empty, Heiran controls the gods, and all directions are following orders. Please come to me, Lord Guan Dishen. Be as urgent as a law or order. At the critical moment, Su Junming could no longer care about anything else and used his magic fighting skills at the bottom of the box. The statue of Guangong on his back lit up with white spiritual light, and a powerful force poured into his body. Su Junming's nearly depleted mana was replenished in an instant. He quickly activated the four elephants evil-slaying formation and the corpse-binding rope to suppress Western's resistance. Uncle, it's now. Uncle Ju has rich experience in slaying demons, and he was ready when Su Junming asked the god to come to him. Taking advantage of the moment when the zombie was suppressed, he used all his magic power to push the mahogany sword, and pierced it through the skin and flesh that had been refined by the pure yang energy of the Bagua mirror. Roar. The deafening roar of pain shook the entire church, and all the window glass shattered. The people brought by Uncle Ju, except for Asing and Xiaoyu, who had strong endurance due to years of practice and were pale, had no major problems. The others rolled their eyes and were knocked unconscious by the huge roar. Fortunately, even if he didn't turn into bones, he was still at the end of his strength. After the roar, his breath instantly weakened. The heart is the key to zombie monsters. Once it is destroyed, it will be like a monk having his dantian pierced, and all his magic power will be turned into nothingness. Su Junming activated the four elephants evil-killing formation, and Uncle Ju activated the Bagua mirror. The two used pure yang energy to refine the corpse energy coming out of the zombie's heart. After a long time, the zombie slowly stopped moving. Su Junming withdrew his magic skills, and the feeling of emptiness in his dantian made him stagger and almost fall to the ground. Uncle Ju had quick eyesight and quickly helped him. "Junming, are you okay?" "It's okay, it's just that some mana was consumed too much. Just meditate and recover and you'll be fine." Su Junming was sweating profusely and panting. "Uncle, what should I do with this body?" Su Junming pointed at the untransformed bones on the opposite side that were still trapped by the corpse-binding rope. "First expose it to the sun for 3 days to remove the yin qi and corpse qi from his body, and then burn it. This untransformed bone is different from other corpses. It has been nourished by yin air for 10 years. Unless pure yang real fire is used, ordinary flames cannot burn it at all. But pure yang true fire is a powerful flame that can only be mastered at the golden core stage. Neither Su Junming nor Uncle Ju has this ability. What about slaying the dragon? Tu Long is a disciple of Mission. Once he dies, the soul lamp left in the Qing Palace on Luofu Mountain will be extinguished. At that time, people from the Law Enforcement Hall will investigate. However, since we are insiders, we have the responsibility to inform the Law Enforcement Hall. Otherwise, it is an oversight and you will be held accountable. Uncle Ju made it very clear, and he also meant to remind Su Junming. But the people in the Law Enforcement Hall only need to confirm the cause of death. Although they will care about other things, if there is none, they will not force it. If there was any point, Su Junming's eyes suddenly lit up. Obviously Uncle Ju had known for a long time that he had been coveting the dragon-slaying talisman bag for a long time, and he was determined to fulfill his wish. Thank you for your guidance, Uncle. Uncle Ju smiled and patted his shoulder. Remove the formation. Su Junming did as he was told. Master, senior brother Su. As soon as the formation was withdrawn, Asing and Xiaoyu ran over quickly. At the same time, Su Junming's finger gestures changed, and the corpse rope loosened the body of the western body, which flew towards his hand. Halfway through the journey, the rope hooked up and brought back the silver cross in Father Wu's hand. This thing is no worse than Uncle Ju's Bagua mirror, so of course you can't miss it. Xiaoyu, stay and take care of your senior brother Junming. Axing, come with me. After giving the order, Uncle Ju took the Bagua mirror and walked towards the basement next to him. After finishing the task of eradicating evil, the yin qi of the three evil positions was the strongest, and he was afraid that there would be fish that slipped through the net lurking in it. Su Junming put the silver cross into the deerskin bag, and when Xiaoyu wasn't paying attention, he took the talisman bag and deerskin bag on Tolong's body while the rope was retracting. The bronze mirror image in the pupil swept across the slaughtered dragon. After missing nothing, it swept over the western indestructible bones and the corpse of Father Wu. The rope that bound the body was stretched out, and a thick booklet was rolled back from Father Wu's chest. When I put it in my hand and looked at it, I realized that it was an ancient Bible with a sheepskin cover, and the edges had become fluffy from frequent flipping. Senior brother Junming, what is this? Xiaoyu does not know English and cannot understand the origin of the Bible. A Western book, take it home and read it. Senior brother is so awesome, he even knows Western characters. Su Junming smiled. If his English in this life was no different from the previous one, he would definitely recognize him. Master and senior brother are back, Xiaoyu said. Su Junming put the Bible into the deerskin bag on his waist. Fortunately, the bag was big enough. Although it was bulging, it was not full. Uncle Ju was holding a broken cross in his hand. Su Junming knew that this thing couldn't be hidden from his eyes. But what surprised him was that the thunder aura on the cross was already very weak, but the yin energy, corpse energy, and evil energy were very strong. Noticing the look in his eyes, Uncle Ju said, this cross was the thing that suppressed the zombie. However, the thunder in it has been almost exhausted in the past 10 years, and the lightning strike wood has turned into the current yin wood. How are you going to deal with it, Uncle? Keeping it will easily attract dirt, so it's better to burn it. Su Junming nodded. It's a pity that a piece of lightning-struck wood can be made into a magical weapon. It can also become a weapon in the hands of the uncle to subdue demons and protect the environment and the people. You can't force things by chance. Now it's enough to eliminate this black zombie and preserve the peace of Jiquan Town. After hearing this, Su Junming hesitated slightly, but still did not tell Uncle Ju that this western zombie was not a zombie, but just an indestructible skeleton. Neither he nor Uncle Ninth could afford to offend a bronze-armored corpse, so it was better not to cause trouble. Anyway, if the sky falls, there will be tall people holding it up.